Hello everybody, welcome back to the Professor's Garage. Today I am talking about Critical Role. I'm going to start off with what is Critical Role for anyone who watches my channel who happens to not know what Critical Role is. If you do already know and you want to see my opinions on how to watch Critical Role and when to start it, or where to start, go ahead and skip to this timestamp. That will be how to watch Critical Role. So, first off, Critical Role is a bunch of nerdy voice actor friends who sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons, have it recorded and put it out on the internet. There are a lot of other groups that do the same kind of thing, record their sessions and put them on the internet, but Critical Role is, I think, the most famous, and I've been listening to a few others to pass the time recently, and they're one of the easier ones to listen to, I think. It's just kind of a more engaging story. It's just easier to stick with it once you're with it. But that's just, I've only listened to like 3 or 4 others. I don't know. But I can talk about those another day, but today is Critical Role. In addition to just putting their story on the internet, they have 3 main campaigns or stories that follow different, 4. 3.5 you could say. That follow 3.5 or 4 different groups. You have Vox Machina, which is their first campaign. You have the Mighty Nein, which is their second campaign. And then you have Exandria Unlimited, which is a mini-series. It's 8 episodes. And that follows a group which they never decided on an official name with only 8 episodes. It took them a while. They just hadn't decided. Crown Keepers is one I think that I like that they mentioned. They also, due to the support of fans and Amazon Prime, they actually have a 4th thing, which is their animated series, which takes parts of the story from before they were on the internet and parts of what you see on their live play campaigns, and they are being made into an animated series that will be released in February of 2022, if I remember correctly. I forgot to write that down. But it's super cool. There's a lot of behind the scenes on the making of everything on the Critical Role YouTube channel. So, I mentioned that what happens before they started playing online. So they started this game at home. They started this story at home, just different, each other's houses, kitchen tables, apartments. And then a friend of theirs approached and was like, hey, let's put this on the internet. And they're like, okay. I could have mentioned this earlier. I don't consider this kid-friendly. My kids love the idea of Critical Role. They've come out with a couple songs and just different mini productions that we let our kids watch. But the actual show we do not let our kids listen to. They swear a lot. There's sex jokes. There's intense scenes. There's just a lot of stuff, that... Mainly the swearing is what I'm worried about my kids right now, is I don't want them to hear that much swearing. Because it's a pretty decent amount of swearing. I would put it at, NC-17 R rating, just because they swear a lot of S-word, F-word, and all that stuff. Alright. So that is just a quick summary on... Oh, I forgot to mention. I said there's 4 main stories. 1, 2, and Exandria Unlimited, and then Campaign 3, which just started day before yesterday, as of my recording. With Campaign 3, they're doing every other week, as opposed to what they did in the past, which was weekly. Hi. Yeah, it's me from the future. Quick correction. So, Campaign 3, they're doing every week, and then the last Thursday of the month, they're taking off. I got a little forgetful, but yeah. So, back to the other video. So, that's the summary on what is Critical Role. Here's how is Critical Role. Welcome back to anyone who skipped the first section of the video. So, how to watch Critical Role. There's a lot of ways, so it's pretty easy to pick your favorite and the one that's easiest for you. For Campaign 3, my suggestion would be to watch it live on every other Thursday on Twitch or on YouTube. They will release it live. If you want to participate in the chat, go over to the Twitch channel. If you want to watch it on Twitch later, you will need a subscription, but that's for other videos and not for today on how all that works. But YouTube, they do post the video usually about a week later, just under a week later, so that you can watch it before the new episode comes out. For campaigns 1, 2, and for Exandria Unlimited, YouTube, I will put links to all the playlists in the description here for you, easy to find. Podcast form is another way to listen to it. If you want to see their faces, obviously YouTube is easier. With campaign 1 and 2, I found it hard to find them on the actual podcast platforms. I use Google Podcasts, but Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all of those have most of campaign 2. I have not found campaign 1. And I haven't really looked because the first time I listened to it, I went to their website, I'll link it down below, and I would download 2 or 3 episodes at a time straight from their website, and then I would just listen to it using the media player on my phone. I really liked that because they cut out all the ads and the announcements at the beginning. They cut out the rest in the middle because they do take a break to go to the bathroom and do other things. And then in the middle of every episode. And then at the end, they'll kind of, do a little bit of after talk, just kind of like, whoa, that was fun, or things like that. Or they'll have music going on. So the downloads from their website cut out all of that stuff. They make it nice and easy, sometimes taking off half an hour to an hour worth of listening time. For campaign 2, episodes 19 through the end, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, all good ways to watch it. They're all on there. Episodes 1 through 18, 19, easiest way I found to watch it is on YouTube. That is because they started all of campaign 1 and part of campaign 2 on a YouTube channel called Geek and Sundry. Then, in the beginning of campaign 2, they started their own company, Critical Role, and started their own YouTube channel and had everything moved over there. And so I think that's why it's hard to find on the podcast the beginning episodes. So YouTube is the easiest way to watch it from the beginning. And then you can switch over to the podcast once. So that's how to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's on Critical Role. Critical Role's website, you can find links for the videos and everything. And it's on podcast providers. Now, where to start? This is all my opinions. With hundreds of hours of listening or watching time, depending on your preference, it can be hard to decide where to start. If you are just starting now, I would suggest watching, I'll edit in the YouTube video about the history of Exandria. Exandria is the world on which all of the stories take place. And there is a video that is the history of Exandria. So you can start there and learn about, get a basic baseline on the history. Like I said, there's hundreds of hours, so if you want to avoid spoilers, I would say start at the very beginning, campaign 1, and then go all through it. If you want to keep up to date on all the stuff that's coming out, start at campaign 3. Episode 1 just released, and then I forget what day it will come out, but once it posts, I will put a link for campaign 3's videos and playlist in the description. And so I would say watch campaign 3 and then pick one of the campaigns and start watching it. Possibly Exandria Unlimited. It's 8 episodes and they're really interesting. Matthew Mercer, who is the game master for all of the other campaigns, he is actually a player in Exandria Unlimited, and his character is, in my opinion, very funny, very hilarious, and he is the best character in that short, brief campaign. So, campaign 2, start at episode 1, and you'll get to be introduced to their characters right in episode 1 and get started on their story. Campaign 1 is, I hope I said campaign 2 for any times I needed about that, but campaign 2, start it from the beginning. Campaign 1 is a little bit harder on to decide where to start watching it. Okay, so, for campaign 1, there's a few different episodes that I have selected as I think are good starting points for the story. I'll give different insights as to why I would start there, so that you can decide if you want where you want to start campaign 1. You can start at the very beginning. Starting at episode 1 of campaign 1 is, in my opinion, it's a little hard. It's difficult because they've already been playing the story. It's like opening up, a couple chapters into a book and starting there. So they've received the quest, and the quest was, hey, go to, this person's missing, go to this city and find them. And so they've traveled and they've arrived at the city, and that's where campaign 1 starts. Is they've arrived at the city and they're trying to find this person. Another reason it's hard to start watching campaign 1 with episode 1 is one of the characters, Tiberius Stormwind. He is, I think, just the vibe I get from, all the memes and just people talking about it and the comments in the videos. He is a very disliked character. When I first started watching it, he was my favorite character for quite a while, and then he just became really annoying. He does leave fairly early on, and that's one of the places to start. Okay, so that's first episode. They're kind of cut in, and the second starting point I would suggest is episode 6. When I was doing this, I was just looking mainly at the titles and using my memory to see what it was about. But there's episode 6 does have some cool things. You've missed a couple interesting things, but aren't too important. And one thing that does get explained, or you can find out really easily, Clarota. That's one thing you'll miss, but it's pretty easy to find who Clarota is and how they came across him. But episode 6, it starts, and I don't remember exactly where it starts, but in the next few episodes after episode 6, episode 6, there's some cool things, some cool story points, some funny things that kind of get referenced back later on in the campaign. After episode 6 would be episode 11. Episode 11 is their first big boss fight. They've found the person they were supposed to find, and there's a big threat that they discover, and so this is where they go and confront the threat. I would compare it to when James Bond is with the bad guy, and the bad guy leaves James Bond in the death trap to die, and they go off, and then it's things happen and cool things happen. It's the climax, and it's a pretty cool fight for them to fight the big bad guy there. After episode 11, I would suggest episode 14. Episode 14, I don't think there's any fights at all in that episode, but they've just gotten back from their first big adventure. They've collected an item, and they're meeting with the city council to decide what to do with this very, very dangerous item. And this episode puts on display Matthew Mercer, the game master, his voice talents, because he ends up playing like, I don't know, 12 characters or something, and he's talking to himself in all these distinct voices. Most of them are characters that have not been mentioned ever in game on screen. A couple are characters that the players have met before. I suggest episode 14 because it gives you some time to get used to whose voice is who. Like Grog. This is my favorite character in Campaign 1. He's a big, tall, burly guy with a big axe. You'll get used to that character's voice and all of the other characters' voices and say, oh, when they're talking about Vax, it's this one. When they're talking about Vex, it's this one. And those two get confused all the time, like a twins would get confused in real life. You'll get used to what each individual character sounds like and be able to recognize them more easily going on. After they're done with the council meeting, they go shopping for magical items. You get introduced to a few popular fan favorite characters in this episode. And so once you got to the shopping point, listen to it for as long as you want, and then I say skip it. In my opinion, all the important points of that episode have been checked off, and it's just a bunch of people who went out, got a bunch of candy, saying they're like dividing up the check. Okay, who got this item? Okay, what? You got the steak tartare, or you got the bubble gum, and just kind of divvying it out. Episode 24. This is when the ball gets rolling on the most popular story arc of Campaign 1. It is getting close to where the character Tiberius Stormwind leaves. So you have just a few more episodes with him, so these last ones are when he's really gets annoying, in my opinion. Episode 24 is where I would start if I were to start listening to Campaign 1 for my third time. I've listened to it twice. I just really like the characters, and I was missing them when I was listening to Campaign 2. It's where the ball gets rolling on the story for the first real cohesive big story of Campaign 1 that we are there for the whole ride of. It's also like the fan favorite story, most popular. So I would say start here. You'll have to muscle through Tiberius, but you do get to just be part of the entire first story arc. Next stop is episode 27. It is the last episode with the actor who plays Tiberius. And a couple, story plot points have already happened. And I forgot to notate this, but I think they start off with a fight in a dungeon, right at the beginning of the episode. So it's a pretty good place to start. It's the last episode with Orion Akaba. And then the final suggestion for where to start campaign 1 is episode 28. This is the last episode with Tiberius, very near the beginning of the episode, or I forget exactly how it goes, but essentially he gets a letter and is like, sorry guys, I gotta go, and he disappears. And then they get to a new city, which becomes a very big part of all the rest of campaign 1. So, there's a little bit of rambling in there, but with hundreds of hours of video and audio, how do you avoid being a little bit of rambling? But those are my suggestions on how to watch Critical Role and where to start. So, thank you for watching. If you want to, go ahead and watch Critical Role. If you're here, you probably are interested in watching Critical Role. So, go, enjoy it, find out where you want to start. Heck, you could even start with my list and be like, okay, episode 1, I don't like it, let's skip. Okay, episode 6, okay, this is kind of interesting, and kind of skip through it, and find out whatever. If you've already seen Critical Role, I'm interested in your comments on where to start watching. We'll just not talk about Tiberius, because I feel I've talked about it enough, and if you're going to watch it, you will get enough of experience to understand as to why people don't like Tiberius. So please, we'll leave those comments out. But what you think, your opinions on how to start and where to start watching Critical Role. If you start watching Critical Role after my videos, please let me know how helpful or unhelpful you found my information, and yeah. But if you like my videos, go ahead and click the like button, subscribe so you can be notified when I post new videos. I have a lot of ideas for Dungeons and Dragons or D&D videos in the future, a couple different styles. I will hopefully be getting those out sooner and sooner and sooner. But that's the Professor's Garage. Have a great day.